But I have to follow my heart. I have to not allow myself to be worried about how many likes am I getting? How many comments am I getting? Oh, do people like me anymore? You know, honestly, you learn you just can't follow that because they're really not even accurate. Because so many of you hang out with me. I get tons of emails every week with you all sharing things that come up with you in your pauses. I have so many people who thank me for doing the pauses now. So yeah, it outweighs, you know, maybe those that I may have disappointed by changing the way my format is. And I'm happy because I'm really... Hello YouTube, happy Saturday. I'm back in my studio, my home studio. And back from a few weeks in Portugal. Had an amazing time. Hi, my name is Robin McClendon. And welcome to my channel. If my voice is a little hoarse, I think it's just been from talking and laughing and having such a great time the last couple of weeks, and of course a whole week of teaching, and then the change of, you know, coming back to the States and sinuses, and so anyhow, we're going to ignore my slightly hoarse voice. But welcome back to all of you who have been hanging out with me, and to anybody who's new, popping across my channel for the first time. Hang around a little bit and see what we're about. I'm a mixed media artist, printmaker, written a very popular book on gel plate printing for mixed media artists with Schiffer Publisher, and I'm a book artist. So we do all kinds of things here, but really this year we're drilling in on something I'm calling pauses. And it's the space between all the other stuff that we're doing in life, in our studios, arting, social media, life. And I have found that the more I can control my mind and my, you know, neurological system and everything that I'm able to balance in life, the more I'm able to pour into my art. And the clearer my storytelling is, you know, like I feel like I am more connected with myself around what I want to say in my art. And so every time I come to do my art, I really do come to an infinite pool, because over the years I've built it up such that it's there for me. And so the pauses is my way of sharing my techniques, and I'm on the same journey with you guys because I'm always trying to take deeper dives. And I'm also, you know, a victim of society as well, so I'm having to, you know, drill in and reel in my doom scrolling, and, you know, the way social media reaches out into my life, and being conscious about the decisions I'm making and the applications that I have on my phone and how I'm using my phone, and doing other things with my time when I'm not in my studio doing art or creating videos for my community. What else am I doing? You know, so for me, I'm looking for inspiration. I'm switching to magazines, to books. I love Pinterest. I feel like Pinterest is that one place you can go where it's slow and it really does build your algorithms, so you just get more of what you really want to see. So I like that. Just basically everything else, I just do little bits of it because I find that it helps regulate me. So those are the kind of things I'm sharing out with everyone in my community, and that's what many of you all have been doing along with me. We've been on this journey together and exploring and thinking every week about something, maybe just a little differently. There could be things you're already thinking about, and so you're saying, okay, let me revisit that and think about it a little bit differently. And then we're doing our journals, and so every week there's something new that goes into our journals, and so we're creating these rich tapestries of collages and really yummy stuff around our pauses and what's coming up for us. So this week's pause, this is week 20 already, we're at 20, and this one's a little different. So last week, giving myself permission to color outside the lines, when I was in Portugal, I was thinking a lot about the pauses because I'm actively doing these pauses along with you guys. I actually started these pauses out of my own dark night of the soul last fall, and many of you already know this, and I had to come back and just start self-regulating and, you know, clearing my mind out and clearing my spirit out and just trying to come back and find a balance. And I was doing those, and when I hit January of this year, I thought I was making a lot of changes in my own life and what I wanted to share in my community. And some of it's a little scary because I was stepping away from the traditional artist showing what you're doing, camera down, and just doing techniques. And where I love that, I'm still in my studio doing that. We do that all day long over on Patreon. But I wanted to change what I was sharing out into the world on my YouTube channel. And yeah, it's scary. Yes, there are people that were following me that don't like this, but guess what? There are so many new people that have come into this community and that have reached out to me and said they found just what they needed. So me coloring outside of my own, that's an example of me coloring outside of my own box before I even got into last week's prompt. It's scary. You know, it's like, this is my livelihood. This is how I pay my bills. And not that I, you know, get a lot of money off of YouTube, because you really don't make but a few, I mean, in my situation, I don't have millions of followers, so I make a few hundred, but this is the way you guys find me. And so as a result, you go into other parts, you sign up for my other workshops and things like that. And that does, you know, allow me to continue to be a working artist and continue to share on platforms like YouTube that are free, and just continuing to hang out with you guys and build community. So it can be a little scary. You know? But I have to follow my heart. I have to not allow myself to be worried about how many likes am I getting? How many comments am I getting? Oh, do people like me anymore? You know, honestly, you learn you just can't follow that, because they're really not even accurate. Because so many of you hang out with me. I get tons of emails every week with you all sharing things that come up with you in your pauses. I have so many people who thank me for doing the pauses now. So yeah, it outweighs, you know, maybe those that I may have disappointed by changing the way my format is. And I'm happy because I'm really enjoying these pauses. So that, with that said, coloring outside the box brought me to pause 20, which is sacred weirdness. Okay, where did that come from? Part of what I do in my in-person workshops, retreat style workshops, is that the very first session, and I've started doing this, I've just come back to doing this actually in this past year. I used to do it all of the time in all of my classes, workshops, when I was at the Corcoran, when I was at the Smithsonian. I've done this for years, for over 30 years. But once I came on to social media, on YouTube, I'm not one-on-one with folks. So it's techniques that work best when you're sort of one-on-one, either if it's in a Zoom, like a coaching, or you're in a larger group in person. So I've been called to bring this technique back in. It's a copyrighted technique, but I'm telling you, it is just, it's spiritual. It's a good combination of left and right brain. It's logical, but it's also sacred and kind of divine and spiritual, but it also comes up in you at your own pace. So you regulate it. It's not like something in a group, everybody, all of a sudden your business is exposed. It's nothing like that. It's like the mother. It's like, it's nature nurturing you kind of process, but it's very, very profound. And so this past week, the ladies that were in the workshop, and a number of you are in the chat right now, and are my Patreon as well, just really, we're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe what came up, and this technique, how did you come up with it, and all this. And it's basically something that just sort of came through me as a cultural anthropologist. I studied a lot of cultural norms and stuff, and then as a creative and as a artist myself, I just started putting things together and did this whole mixture in some kind of way. This technique was born. So sacred weirdness is this combination of things being a little woo-woo, like, wow, that was really kind of amazing. Like, that was unbelievable. And the sacred is just that mystical, magical part that spiritual aspect, that when we go deep into ourselves, we just find comfort and peace and joy and just intimacy, but also agency, right? And so that term just kind of popped up for me here this past week. And as I was thinking about it, I always love the Japanese aesthetic. You guys know that. And I love Wabi, Sabi, and kawaii, and all the, there's 9 aesthetics of Japanese art. And they all fall along this idea of how most commonly known as Wabi Sabi, right? Which is just one of them. So I was playfully thinking, sacred weirdness is the 10th one. So I went in and just did a lot of researching around the ideograms that I like, because I love doing the Japanese. I studied kanji and brush painting years and years ago, not at anywhere near a master level, but just enough to feel comfortable with it myself and enjoy making the forms. And I just looked in just for words that embraced this idea of sacred weirdness. And so what was born is Yūgen, and that's Ikiyugen, 2 words. Now I've put them together playfully because I'm allowing myself to color outside the lines, but the definitions for these words are in fact the definitions. So I'm gonna read each definition to you, and then I'll tell you how I'm defining Ikiyugen, and then I invite you to just bring this aesthetic into your art this week, into your thinking, into your journal, into your pause time, and just see what comes up for you. So Iki is rooted in the Edo-period Japan. Iki is a classical aesthetic of refined boldness, streetwise sophistication, and effortless charm. But within this refinement is something important. It's a subtle rebellion, a cultivated quirkiness, a weirdness that is never loud but always noticeable. Iki celebrates the person who dares to be just different enough to stand out while still holding grace. It's a tastefully weird, but unapologetically so. So that's the weirdness that I'm talking about. So that's what Iki is. And then Yugen is a foundational Japanese aesthetic that points to the mysterious, the hidden, the ungraspable. It evokes what cannot be fully expressed, like mist among pine trees, or the moon, the moon glimpsing through clouds. That feeling of that like aesthetic that comes up for you, that qualia, but it's hard to define it, right? That's that kind of spiritualism that I'm talking about, that connection to nature, the things that it's hard to put into words, but we know that it's hitting our soul at this deeper place. So Yugen is spiritual depth, the sacred unspoken, and the beauty of the invisible world pressing gently into form, which is what we're doing with our art as well. So I've playfully put these 2 together. I've given myself permission to color outside the lines. And so for those of you who are Japanese speaking, or who understand these terms, know that I'm putting these together playfully in a way that spoke to my soul. And it also took our English words of sacred and weirdness and put them together in a way that I felt these Japanese terms help to take it to a deeper meaning of what I mean by that, and not just how we would just maybe in general define those 2 words. Though I like the way the sacred weirdness sounds. I think it's sort of like these opposing things that make you really sort of think about what's being said. So my definition for Ikiyugen is it's the fusion of delightfully weird originality and profound sacred mystery. It refers to a creative process or expression where personal eccentricity is not only welcome but elevated, held within a container of subtle beauty and ancient feeling, which is that's my aesthetic anyway. That's like my vibe. That's why I call myself an archaeomythologist. It's this idea of telling our stories visually, and, you know, archaeological digs and going to flea markets and finding old stuff and old papers. We love this stuff, right? So that's that fusion of that weird originality but profound sacred mystery. And it refers to that creative process, right? The aesthetic embraces the artist's stylish strangeness. The way weirdness, when refined and intentional, becomes a kind of charm. It honors what is both offbeat, elegant, playful, and profound. So I introduce to you Yūgen, which is this idea of sacred weirdness. So play around with that this week. See what comes up for you. I really am fascinated to see how, you know, what comes up for you, how this hits you. If it makes you laugh, I'm just giggling inside. My face is all alight anyhow with smiles, but it just makes me happy. It's just this idea of just, I don't know, just sort of thinking a little bit outside the box and playing with these aesthetics and these deeper feelings that brings, you know, that comes into our art, right? And just allowing ourselves to just maybe explore. We're doing a little differently. So, you know, I created the page this week, which is this spread. You've already seen me working on it, but I'll just kind of do a close-up here of the pages. This up here is Seth's embossing mold. You all probably saw the video last week, but oh, I love that. Look how good. I did it on a vellum. Look how good it just blends in. Oh, this is just amazing. And actually, he calls this matrix. And matrix is actually a Latin root word for mother. Isn't that interesting? As we think about, you know, nature and, you know, nurture. And over here is some of my, of course, intuitive scripting. When you open it up is where I have the full page of scripting that I'm doing Yūgen and sacred weirdness, alternating it. And then those are the characters for Yūgen. And so I just did it over as a layer. And then this is an old journal page that I got, and you can see that it's from the 1880s, and I picked it up in the flea market in Portugal, and so I made that a flip out. I wrapped it around the page here, and then these right here are from my new stamp collection with Schiffer that is on pre-sale, and I have the link below if you want to go over and grab both of the kits. They come out in October, but these are made on like a wet strength paper that's been coffee stained, and using the fountain pen ink, the Era Shiguki, stamping them. And these are about 5 or 6 different stamps that are in the kits, and I've just overlaid them. But I've created these stamps so they really just have this authentic, like you could have found this paper somewhere. So those are in there, and yep, that's that. And I also just pulled up, I'll do a book flip of this book and put it up this week here on YouTube. But this is the book that I made in Portugal. And here is a photo that I took of an old wall. It was like really crumbling, but then it had this great graffiti on it. And then it was printed out. I printed out on canvas paper. And that became the cover of this old book that you can see. I left this back part of the book, and I covered the front. It's the side panel, but these are gel prints that I made when in Portugal. But I'll do a full flip so you guys can really see it and just maybe enjoy checking this book out. So that's what I did last week when I was coloring outside the box. Okay, so this week, Yūgen, and yeah, I'm excited to see how that hits you all, and please share. And that's that. So you guys have a great week. Enjoy yourselves in your studios. Always happy creating. And from my heart to yours, and you know, Thank you for being on this journey with me. Thank you for hanging out in the chat and always talking with me. We're over there saying our goodbyes right now, but we enjoy ourselves. It's a great group of artists from all over the globe that sign in, you know, in the morning when this video starts in the premiere. So if you're interested in chatting and maybe getting to know someone who lives close to you or whatever, come on in on Saturday mornings and you can chat with us. Alrighty. Love you guys so much. Take care. And until next week, sacred weirdness. Iki Yūgen. Alright. Bye-bye. Much love.